Let's say the quiet part out loud. Business is not a level playing field for women. Not because women are less capable, but because many women are carrying more, mentally, before the workday even starts. A lot of men can sit down to work and focus on work. Many women sit down to work while also holding school schedules, family logistics, social obligations, health details, and future planning in the background. Even when those things aren't actively happening, they're still running in your head.
And this isn't about blaming men or pretending women are victims. Some of the hardest working men we know are supported by spouses who quietly manage most of the household coordination, even while working themselves. Those men aren't doing anything wrong, but they do have an advantage they don't often see. When they're working, their mental bandwidth is mostly dedicated to one domain. For many women, that just isn't true. And pretending it is makes productivity advice feel insulting instead of helpful.
Mental load isn't about how busy you are. It's about how much responsibility your brain is holding all at once. It's remembering, anticipating, coordinating, and tracking things that don't belong neatly on a to-do list. It's knowing what needs to happen next, even when no one asks you to think about it. And the hardest part is that mental load doesn't turn off just because you open your laptop.
That's why women often feel tired even on days when they didn't get much done. Their brains have just been working all day, just not always on visible tasks. Mental load consumes cognitive energy. And when productivity advice ignores that reality, it ends up blaming women for being inefficient instead of addressing the real constraint.
Most productivity advice assumes a narrow focus band. It assumes you can time block, single task, and optimize your workflow without constant interruption. That model works well when your responsibilities are cleanly divided. It breaks down when your brain is managing multiple domains simultaneously.
So when women are told to just focus, eliminate distractions, or work in deep focus blocks, it can feel impossible. Not because they lack discipline, but because the mental load doesn't disappear just because you want it to. The issue isn't willpower, it's unacknowledged responsibility.
This is where the archetypes matter, because mental load doesn't affect every type A woman the same way. Hustlers tend to absorb extra load automatically. If something needs to be handled, they handle it. If no one else is doing it, they step in. Their productivity problem isn't effort, it's over-responsibility.
Overplanners experience mental load as unresolved decisions. They hold options, contingencies, and what-ifs in their heads for long periods of time. Their brains are working constantly, even when nothing is moving forward. Productivity suffers not because they're slow, but because decisions never get closed.
Avoiders experience mental load as emotional weight. Tasks feel heavy, not because they're hard, but because they're undefined or emotionally charged. Avoiders delay not out of laziness, but because starting feels overwhelming. The longer the task sits, the heavier it becomes.
The common mistake type A make is trying to outwork mental load. Hustlers push harder, overplanners build better systems, avoiders wait for motivation. None of those solve the root problem because the mental load isn't about effort. It's about what your brain is carrying.
The goal isn't to do less. It's to carry less that doesn't belong to you, or carry it differently. Productivity improves when mental load is managed strategically, not ignored. For hustlers, the productivity shift starts with filtering responsibility. Hustlers need to ask hard questions regularly. Does this responsibility actually convert to outcomes I'm accountable for? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong on your plate.
Hustlers stay productive by deciding in advance what they will not absorb. That means letting some things be handled imperfectly by others. It means resisting the urge to fix everything. Productivity increases when effort is reserved for work that truly moves the needle, not when you carry everything because you can. For overplanners, the key is resolving decisions instead of holding them. Mental load shrinks dramatically when decisions are closed, even imperfectly. Overplanners need deadlines for deciding, not just for delivering.
Productivity improves when the thinking has an endpoint. Overplanners stay productive by asking, what decision can I finalize today so that my brain can let go? Closures free cognitive space. Without it, no system will ever feel efficient. For avoiders, productivity depends on clarity. Avoiders don't need more pressure. They need tasks to feel startable. That means shrinking tasks until the first step is obvious and emotionally neutral.
Avoiders stay productive by defining work so clearly that resistance drops. Not easier, clearer. When the next step is specific, timed, and limited, the mental load lightens and action becomes possible again.
Productivity for Type A women isn't about squeezing more out of yourself. It's about designing work that respects reality. When mental load is acknowledged and managed intentionally, productivity becomes sustainable instead of exhausting.
And that's the difference. Sustainable productivity isn't loud. It doesn't come from grinding harder. It comes from carrying the right things and letting the rest go.
It isn't fair that many women carry more mental load than their male counterparts. Naming that isn't a weakness, it's clarity.
But productivity doesn't come from pretending it's fair. It comes from understanding how you respond to load and managing it strategically.
When you stop carrying what isn't yours, the work you do carry finally gets the focus it deserves.